day. Today we're going to be looking at a little bit different environment with our drawing practices. Today we're going to be focusing on how to create a title block template that you can use all the time for your drawings. Now, what I've done here is I've taken an existing template that I've used many times, and I've brought it in, and it is actually a block inside my drawing environment. But I want to make some edits and some changes to it, and clean it up, and then show you how to make it as a layout template, so that way when you're finished with your drawings, you could easily bring this template in. So this particular video is going to be how to create the template. Then we're going to have a separate video that's going to be focusing on how to use the template. So let's get started. So initially, as I indicated, that this was a template that I've used before, and I've just put it onto the drawing surface. Let me go ahead and turn off my grid so it makes it a little bit easier to see. You'll notice that it does have a couple of layers, one called Titleblock, one called Viewport, and we'll talk about what those are as we go along. Basic drawing setup has been the same. The units are still set to 4 decimal places. I didn't change any of that. And again, good practice. Always go and verify your information when you're working to ensure that you're working in an environment that is usable. So the first thing I need to do is I need to clean this template up. I definitely want to get rid of the revision area here, because we're not going to be filling out revisions in our class. I also wanted to get rid of some of the information here on the bottom. So I wanted to clean this up a little bit, make it a little bit more streamlined title block environment. So the first thing I have to do is explode the title block. What I just gripped here was the viewport, and actually I'm going to delete this viewport, and this is your window that you used in layouts. And like I said, we're going to get into viewports in more detail, but let me go ahead and hit the delete key and get rid of that viewport. And so what we're going to do is explode this particular item, and explode doesn't show up on our lists here anymore. And what we have to do is we need to type it in, and it's easily done by typing explode. And it is a command that is going to break all this back into individual lines. So it's taking the group or the block and breaking it back into individual entities. And so what it did is it exposed 3 items that were hidden in the block itself, and those are called attributes. And you'll learn about those in a different video with blocks and attributes. And so I'm going to delete these attributes because we're not going to make this a block anymore at this point. But I may make it a group. We'll see. I might make it a block and go that direction. First things first, let's go ahead and delete this area up top here. I'm going to use the blue so I don't select the outside surface. I'm going to select the line and select the word revision, so it gives us a little bit more drawing surface to work with. Now we're going to focus on the title block itself. So the revision specifications here, drawing number. Since we have the drawing name, I'm going to put drawing name and number, so that way we're able to control. Size, it's always good to have the size information, but I'm thinking that I might be able to squeeze the size information here with the sheet information. So it's sheet 1 of 1, and again, if you're going to be doing multiple, and then I can increase the size of this space and move this up, and then move the word size. Notice that I'm doing everything through grips. And I'll grab this line and kind of move this line into place here. And since this is an A-size drawing, I'll actually copy text and put text in here. So now I can get rid of this line here, and I can move the 1371 down. And this line is a separate line. Oops. What happens when you make an oops? You right mouse click and you undo. And so notice that those are not lined up, so we're going to delete that. And we're going to use the extend command here under trim. We're going to extend out to this edge, this line. Very quickly, able to do that. I'm going to be able to bring down my name area, grip, and move that down here. Pretty cool. I can also use this really cool tool called stretch. So I'm going to use this tool called stretch, and we're going to stretch the title block in a downward fashion. So I have to use it as a crossing window, which is the green one. So wherever it's crossing the lines, those lines will shrink. And so I'm going to bring this down, and you can see how it's just kind of shrinking the whole thing back down. Very cool. We still have room for a logo. And so I'm going to double click here under drawing name. I'm going to add drawing name and number. So that way we know what the drawing name and the number is. We'll have to extend these lines here at the bottom up. So we'll grab this and extend these lines. Extend works just like the trim command. And so that way that all works. That's looking sharp. Much more. Oh, we got a trim here. So we've got one more trim to do. Again, it's the little things that make the difference. And so that little itty bitty tab that was hanging over there, needed to clean that up. So now we've streamlined the title block. Now you might be thinking, it's got 7/4/2012, and it's definitely not 2012 anymore. So what's the deal with that? Well, let me go ahead and delete this, and I'll show you how this text gets brought in. So first we're going to delete. And now we're going to show you how to bring the text in. That's what happens when you inadvertently hit the function keys. To begin, we're going to use the text command, and this is the standard multi-line text. We're going to create a window for the text so it's easier to magnify up a little bit, and we'll create the window for text. Now instead of just typing in a date, which we could actually just type a date in and edit it, what we can do is we can create a field, and that's what we're talking about here is a field, and this is standard data inside the drawing. And the data can be from either the properties, like if you right mouse click on a drawing and set properties or summary information, that information can be translated into a drawing. And so what I'm going to do is grab the date, and you can see that you can set the date for a variety of different items, including specific times. So it'll actually grab the time that the date was created, and in different formats. So if you want August 18th, or if you want a text or a numeric based date, it will apply it. And when I choose OK, you can see that that information is now shown. So the key is we need to check and see how tall the text is, because right now it's 0.20. It seems pretty high. I'm going to go ahead and kick that down to 0.15. And I'll probably set the rest of my text a little bit smaller also, and we'll show you how to edit that here in just a second. But now it will grab the current date, so when you have your drawing, it will place the date in that field, which is kind of a cool thing. So as you create your drawing, as you apply that template, if it doesn't, you can always update it, do a regen, R-E-G-E-N, regeneration, and it should update the date at that point. Okay, a couple of things I want to do is clean up positioning and size. So let me go ahead and double click on these particular text items, see what size they are. That's 0.15, that's perfect. This one also should be 0.15, and it is. This one seems a little bit larger. That one's 0.12. We're going to kick this back down to 0.15. Just so it fits. Now why didn't it change? Because I didn't highlight it. You have to highlight text if you're going to make a change. Okay, so text size here, that should be 0.2, and then this will be 0.2, so they'll be a little bit larger in these fields. And I can actually bring this back down just a hair more, it looks like. Let's magnify it up, bring it straight down, and then I can bring the top down. I could use the stretch command again. Or I can just bring this straight down and then use the trim tool. And grip the text, bring the text down. And again, all these things done with just grips. And so I've got these tails now that I need to trim off. And again, if we use the stretch command, I wouldn't have had to trim the tails. Okay, so that's our cleaned up. I need to put text here for A. So I'm going to go ahead and take text, create a window, small window here. 0.15 is our height. And we're going to type the letter A. And if I don't like the placement, I'll magnify, grip the text, grip the point, and then adjust the text position. So this is an A-size title block. And how do I know that it's A-sized? Well, by practice I brought in an A-size, but I could also do some quick linear dimensions to verify. So it's 10.5 inches long by 8 inches high. So you know that 8.5 by 11 is the size of a piece of standard A-size paper. So this is going to give us a 1/2 inch border all the way around. Something to think about as we're working here. So we're going to get a 1/2 inch border all the way around. Okay, so now we've got our drawing done. What do we need to do with it to make it a template? Well, this actually doesn't belong on the Model Space tab. Even though we created it and edited the drawing here, where it really needs to belong is on the layouts. And right now the layout has got a viewport and it's got a drawing area. So let's talk a little bit about layouts. The sheet of paper is an A-size piece of paper. How do I know? Well, previously I went to the Page Setup Manager, which is a right mouse click on the layout, gets you to the Page Setup Manager. Under layout number 1, choose Modify. When you do that, layout number 1 tells you that it's a letter size, which is A size, scales 1:1. Our plot offerings and other items are all set up here. We really don't need to change anything other than we wanted to make sure that it is 8.5 by 11. Now, when you choose OK, it'll also tell you that it's 8.5 by 11 here and what the printing device happens to be. Well, why is that important for the printing device? Because the printing device indicates where the dotted lines go. Well, and for my particular printer that I have, the dotted lines are out to the very outer edge of the drawing surface. Now remember, we're going to be a 1/2 inch in here with our layout, so we should be able to print the complete layout template that we create. But what are we seeing now? Well, we're seeing the template inside a viewport. Well, the viewport is here, and this is the window from the layout space to the model drawing. And so what we're going to need to do is draw a draw a viewport inside our title block. But first I need to put the title block from model onto layout. But before I even do that, I need to delete this particular viewport. Now you're totally confused about viewports. The key is viewports are the window that you create on a layout to see the model. The model's not going anywhere. It's going to stay on that sheet when you're drawing. The layouts are the key for your printing because the layouts never change paper size. Paper size is A size, B size, C size, D size, E size. You can create a layout any one of those sizes and that won't change. That stays static. But the scale inside the viewport is what will vary when you actually utilize the drawing environment. You'll see that in the next video. So the first thing I need to do is delete the viewport. The next thing I'll do is draw a construction line. Now I know that I need to draw from this corner, but I'm not going to be able to directly pick this corner because this corner doesn't have any vector geometry. So I'm just going to ballpark it. And I'm going to draw a 1/2 inch over and a 1/2 inch straight up. Why? Because I want to make sure that I start my layout in the right spot. So I did a construction line here for layout positioning. So we created this layout, and what I'm going to need to do is copy and paste it. Or I can use copy with a base point, which is kind of an interesting tool here that I can use with the editor. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and window around the objects, all of them, right mouse click, and I actually want to use my clipboard tools, not clip art, but clipboard tools. And the tool is copy with base point because I want to copy the lower left-hand corner as my base point so I can locate it in the layout properly. So copy with a base point. It wants me to specify the base point, which is going to be the corner right here. And it copied all the objects. Why? Because it's back to command prompt. We're going to go to layout number 1. We're going to right mouse click under clipboard. We're going to paste. Now I can paste it as a block, meaning that all the objects are going to be grouped together again as a single entity. Well, in this case, I'm not going to paste it as a block. I'm going to just go ahead and paste it. But notice where it's connected. It's connected right where that point is. And it's a 1/2 inch over, 1/2 inch up. Okay, so here's the deal. That 1/2 inch over, 1/2 inch up didn't leave me enough space all the way around my sheet. So I'm going to need to move this a 1/4 inch over and a 1/4 inch down. So we're going to do the move command. One of the things that you can do with the move command or any of these commands is that you can type the letter P to do the previous selection set. Oh, didn't work this time. All right. Oh, we're in the really cool. If I press and hold, I get that funky polygon selection tool. So I need to move this a 1/4 inch, not rotate. Did I pick rotate? Uh-oh. That would be bad. So we want, not mirror, we want to move. Select the objects. And I need to bring this down. And we're going to bring it down to the corner. Now, can I make it exactly a 1/4 inch? Absolutely. You can do typed input with this by using the @ key to specify at x comma y. So I need to move this at -0.25, -0.25. And it moved it, but it moved it too far. So let's undo. And sometimes it is, let's see here. So the outer lines, okay, so let's do the move command again. Sometimes they don't always work exactly as you would like. So I'm trying to keep all the lines inside the little dotted box. And I can get almost all of them in. The thing is that this bottom is going to have to get edited, and I'm going to have to move this bottom line up. It's probably a good thing. And the top line is going to have to get moved down. And I'll These are pretty tight. Those are right and left are very tight. So what that should do is that should give me enough room to get this now within this box, because I'm inside the two dotted lines, and I'll be just on the dotted lines for the upper and lower locations. So sometimes you have to do this and check and edit, and it might be better just to take and connect them all to the ends of the arrowheads, just like so they're all consistent. But now I got all these corners to clean up, and from the previous videos, using the fillet with no radius, very fast way to clean corners up. I'll just zoom out, zoom in, select each of the corners. I could do fillet repeat. There is an option to repeat on the fillet, but in many cases when you're zooming out, zooming in, it's easier just to right mouse click and repeat the command. Okay. So now we're fully inside the dotted lines. That's going to make it look really sharp. Liking what I'm seeing here. And congratulations, it's now on the layout. We've edited the layout to make it fit our paper. So now it's going to print properly with the data sheet, with the page layout sheet showing up properly. Perfect. All right. Now we have another problem. Well, it's best to call these specifically, not just layout 1, layout 2, but give it a name. So I need to right mouse click on layout 1 and rename, and I'm going to go ahead and say ANSI A title block. Very good. Hit the enter key, and so now this is called my ANSI A title block. What if I wanted to make a B-size title block? One of the cool things that you can do is, since we're creating a template here, I can create an ANSI B, an ANSI C, and ANSI D. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new layout. On this layout, we're going to copy this particular title block. This is what happens. This is the polygon selection tool. If you press and hold your mouse button, you get it. If you press and release, you get this really cool square. Something you need to learn. We're going to right mouse click. Under clipboard again, copy with base point. We'll pick that as our base point. We're going to go to layout number 2, but layout number 2's got that viewport already, and it's still an A-size sheet of paper. We got a problem. We need to change both of these. So the first thing we want to do is grip this viewport and get rid of it. The second thing I need to do is change the paper size. So the paper size is under Page Setup Manager. And I need to change layout number 1, not ANSI A, but layout number 1. I'm going to modify that, and instead of letter, I'm going to find 11 by 17 on my list. Is 11 by 17 on the list? If it isn't, it's because my printer won't support it. So since my printer won't support it, I'm going to need to just put it in no printer. With no printer, I get all the standard paper sizes that I can work with. So I'm going to use 11 by 17 as my standard size. It's going to be 1:1, and we're going to choose landscape as opposed to portrait. We'll choose OK. So this is a generic print for 11 by 17. We're going to go ahead and close it, and you'll notice that the dotted lines are a little bit different here. I might have to work outside the dotted lines, and the dotted lines will change based on your printer. So you need to check that before you print with these layouts. So the next thing I need to do is come here and paste my title block. And so my title block fits there. So a couple of things I can do at this point is I can stretch it to make it fit. So I can use the stretch command. We'll stretch to make these fit. Now the problem is the arrows aren't going to be in the right spot. They won't be in the middle. That's okay. So we're going to stretch this all the way up, and then we'll stretch again. And I want to keep the title block stable. Why? Because we're going to keep and edit it. I'm going to stay just inside the lines there. Just inside the lines there. Just outside the lines there. So I'm going to need to move this all up. move. And I might need to restretch. Yep, I'm going to need to restretch. So stretch. And bring it inside. Perfect. So we're just inside the box, my generic printing box. And again, this is a B size, so we change the piece of paper that we're working with. We're going to change the letter here, so we double click on it, change that from an A to a B. Everything else can stay the same, except now I need to reset my arrows. Well, where do the arrows go? Well, I need to move the arrows, so we're just going to grab one arrow and move it. Move. I need to pick both parts of the arrow, and I want to move it to the midpoint. Move. Pick both parts of the arrow from the point. Find the midpoint. There it is. Yeah, it's tedious work, but it's much easier to do it this way and do it once, have a really nice title block as a template, than it is have to redraw the title block every time. There it is. And lastly, move. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got the title blocks A and B size done. Let me go ahead and rename this. So we rename this to ANSI B. So how would I create a C size title block? Exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. So I'd add a new title block, change the page layout, copy my title block, paste it, and stretch it and make it standard. So the last thing we have to do is create viewports inside our title blocks, because if we don't, then we'll never get anything from the layout to the model space window. So to create the layout viewports, there's actually a new tab that appears when you're in the layout tab up at the very top. Go ahead and select that, and under here we're going to create layout viewports. So there's different types of viewports that we're going to create, or excuse me, there's different type of viewports that you can create. Most commonly are rectangular, but since our title block is not just plain old rectangles, we're going to choose polygonal, which makes it a really nice polyline. So we're going to start picking the points around our title block all the way around our object on the inside here of the title block. And we get back to the first, we choose enter. And it creates, and you're looking like, oh, what am I seeing? Well, you're actually seeing the model. So if I draw a circle here, and we go back to ANSI A, notice that you're seeing the circle inside the title block. So that's the key, is creating a title block. Now realistically, I can delete the title block at this point. And now if we went and looked at the title block, you'd see just the arrows and the circle. So again, you're looking through the layout into the model. Well, I've got to do the same thing for ANSI Title Block B. Click Layout, change to a polygonal, which it's reset. We'll pick the points. It doesn't matter where you start as long as you go all the way around and create a closed polygon. And there we go, get the same view. Under Model, I'm going to delete all the other features. Why? Because I don't want those in my template. Now that we created the template, make sure that it says B, Everything else is set. Everything's looking sharp. Double click to make sure that those are full size. Now what I'm going to do is save my drawing. So to save my drawing, I'm going to go to the big letter A, choose Save As. Well, why am I going to do a Save As? Because I can do a drawing save, and I can save it as a 2013 MET title block template, and we'll hit Save. Do I want to replace it? Yes. But I also want to go back up and choose a Save As, and not just do it as a drawing, but I want to save this as a drawing template. And it'll throw me back into a templates folder, which is back inside AutoCAD, so it shows up as a standard template. You'd want to save it here, and you want to save it in a storage space that you're familiar with also. As again, this is buried inside your C drive, I think. Is it C drive? Nope, it's buried inside your, yeah, it is buried inside your C drive under your user app data is where that's stored. So it's actually not an easy spot to get at if you want to copy it or modify it. So bottom line, you'll want to save this in a spot that you're familiar with. So here's what I'm going to do. I changed my layout through the magic of editing, or actually I just paused as opposed to an actual edit. But I paused it, moved it to the folder because you didn't want to see me just do a whole bunch of menu clicks moving to a folder. It's basic folder management. And so I moved it to the AutoCAD 2015 folder, which I'm saving my work in, and I'm going to call this MET 1371 title block 2015. But I'm going to save it as a template, so that way I'm able to upload it and use it in our class. Once it's saved, it'll ask me if there's a description. ANSI and ANSI ANSI A and ANSI B title block templates. It's going to be English. It's going to save all of the layers associated with it. Oh no. You know what? We forgot something. Let's cancel this. You know what we forgot to do? This viewport needs to be on the viewport layer. And I need to do that in both. Yeah, even I forget some things sometimes. And the title block itself should be on the title block layer. So let's go ahead and select everything. Deselect the viewport, which I think I got. No, I did not. I'm going to move everything to the title block layer. And then grip this, and that's on the viewport layer. Alright, so is everything on the title block layer? Yep, everything is on the title block layer. That's on the viewport layer. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and grab everything and move that to the title block layer. Grip this and move that to the viewport layer. Perfect. So remember to reset your layers. I almost went through the whole final save process and wrapped up the video without doing that, and that's a key component. So that's one of the key things. I try not to edit my videos. If we make mistakes, we fix them. If we remember things at the last second, we fix those too. So finalizing that environment again, I'm going to go ahead and manipulate my drawing template back to the folder that I need to go to, and we'll go through the save process and save the template in the folder. Looking forward to seeing you soon, and have a great day.